The United States immigration system is a bureaucratic nightmare designed to test your patience, your wallet, and your sanity. When you sponsor someone for a marriage-based green card, you are literally signing a legally binding contract with the federal government, promising to be financially responsible for that person for a decade. You only do something like that if you are absolutely, undeniably in love. My name is Ethan. I'm 36 years old and I work as a civil engineer in Texas. 4 years ago, I fell in love with a woman named Isabella. She was originally from South America, in the US on a student visa that was rapidly expiring. She was passionate, beautiful, and told me I was the love of her life. When her visa was about to run out, she cried in my arms, terrified of going back to a country with a collapsing economy. I loved her, so I bought a ring. We got married in a beautiful, small ceremony. For the next 3 years, we went through the grueling immigration process. I paid over $15,000 in legal fees to top-tier immigration attorneys. We sat through the invasive interviews, provided hundreds of photos, shared bank accounts, and proved our love to the federal government. Finally, she received her conditional 2-year green card. We celebrated. I thought we were building an American dream together. But Isabella wasn't building a dream with me. I was just the construction worker she hired to pour the foundation. In the U.S. immigration system, after 2 years of marriage, you filed to remove the conditions on the green card, granting the spouse a permanent 10-year residency card. The exact week Isabella's permanent 10-year green card arrived in the mail, our marriage essentially ended. The shift was immediate and terrifying. The affectionate, loving woman I married vanished, replaced by a cold, distant roommate. She stopped wearing her wedding ring, claiming it gave her a rash. She moved into the guest bedroom, saying my snoring was suddenly keeping her awake. But the biggest red flag arrived on a flight from Bogota. Isabella told me her cousin, Marco, was coming to the US to look for construction work and needed a place to stay for a few weeks. I wanted to be a supportive husband, so I agreed to let him take the couch. Marco was 30, incredibly fit, and didn't speak a word of English. From the moment he arrived, the dynamic in my house became unbearable. Isabella and Marco would speak in rapid, hushed Spanish whenever I entered the room. They would go to the gym together for 3 hours at a time. One night, I came down for a glass of water and saw them sitting on the couch watching a movie. Marco's hand was resting gently on her thigh. She quickly swatted it away when the stairs creaked. In our culture, family is very physically affectionate, Ethan. Stop being so insecure, she snapped at me when I questioned it. I felt like a stranger in my own home, but my gut was screaming at me. The truth didn't come out through a grand confrontation. It came out because of a broken phone screen. Isabella dropped her iPhone in the driveway and shattered the glass. She asked to borrow my old backup phone while hers was being repaired. I swapped her SIM card, but to transfer her WhatsApp data, she logged into WhatsApp Web on my personal iPad and forgot to log out. The next morning, while she and Marco were running errands, I opened my iPad to check the weather. A barrage of WhatsApp messages popped up. They were from Marco. I don't speak fluent Spanish, but I know how to use Google Translate. I copied the entire chat history and pasted it into the translator. My heart felt like it stopped beating. Marco wasn't her cousin. Marco was her fiancé of 6 years. I read through months of messages. The entire plot was laid out in black and white. Marco wrote, "How much longer do we have to pretend? I hate watching that gringo look at you." Isabella replied, "Be patient, mi amor. The 10-year card is secured. He is legally on the hook now. I spoke to a divorce lawyer. In 3 months, I will file for divorce,
claim half the equity in the house, and use the money to get us our own apartment. We just have to play the game a little longer. He is so clueless, he actually believes I love him." I sat at my kitchen island, completely paralyzed. I hadn't found a wife. I had been targeted by a highly organized, long-con immigration scam. I was just a sponsor, a mule, a free ticket to America. I wanted to throw up. Then I wanted to walk upstairs, packed their bags, and throw them out onto the street. But I am an engineer. I know that if you want to demolish a building safely, you don't just hit it with a hammer. You plant the explosives at the structural weak points, and you bring the whole thing down at once. If I simply divorced her, she would still have her 10-year green card. She would still get to live in America with her real fiancé, and the court might even force me to pay her alimony since I signed the federal affidavit of support. I wasn't going to let that happen. Immigration fraud is a federal crime. I took high-resolution screenshots of every single message. I scrolled back 3 years and found photos they had sent each other, romantic photos from their life back home, taken before she even met me. I exported everything. When they came back from their errands, I was sitting on the couch watching football. "Hey guys," I said, smiling at the man who was sleeping with my wife. "Did you have a good time?" "Yes, Ethan, thank you," Isabella said, giving me a fake, tight-lipped smile. I played the clueless, supportive American husband for 4 more weeks. I cooked them dinner, I smiled at their inside jokes, and while they slept, I systematically dismantled their American dream. I didn't just go to a divorce lawyer. I went to a former federal prosecutor who specialized in immigration fraud. I slid the translated WhatsApp transcripts, the romantic photos, and a comprehensive timeline of her visa status across his desk. He looked at the evidence and whistled. "Ethan," he said, "USCIS takes marriage fraud incredibly seriously. But we have to move fast before she files for divorce and tries to claim abuse to protect her status, which is the classic next step in these scams." We compiled a massive 100-page dossier. It included the irrefutable proof that her marriage to me was entered in bad faith solely for the purpose of evading U.S. immigration laws. We submitted the dossier directly to the Fraud Division of United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS, and filed a formal tip with ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. But I didn't stop there. Marco had entered the U.S. on a tourist visa, claiming he was just visiting. By actively living in my house and working under-the-table cash jobs in construction, which Isabella admitted to in the texts, he was violating his visa terms. I filed for a quiet, at-fault divorce, sealing the evidence in family court. I had set the charges. Now, I just needed to detonate them. Isabella told me she was planning a small dinner party on a Friday night to celebrate Marco finding a permanent job. I knew what it really was. It was the night she planned to hand me divorce papers. I had seen the emails from her lawyer. Friday morning, I packed a duffel bag, told Isabella I had an emergency site visit for work, and drove to a hotel. At 6 p.m., Isabella and Marco were in my house, likely celebrating their impending payday and their new life together. At 6:30 p.m., the doorbell rang. It wasn't their friends. It was 3 armed federal agents from Immigration and Customs Enforcement, accompanied by 2 local police officers. I watched the entire thing unfold live through my Ring doorbell camera. Isabella opened the door, a smile on her face, which instantly turned into pure terror. "Isabella, last name?" the lead agent asked. "We are with Homeland Security. Your permanent residency is under active federal review for severe marriage fraud. You are being detained pending a removal hearing." Marco came to the door, looking confused. "And you must be Marco," the agent said, looking at a file. "You are in violation of your B-2 tourist visa by seeking unauthorized employment and conspiring to commit immigration fraud. Step outside, please." Through the camera's microphone, I could hear Isabella screaming hysterically. "This is a mistake. My husband is an American. Call Ethan. Call my husband." I pulled out my phone, dialed my own Ring doorbell, and spoke through the two-way audio. "I'm right here, Isabella," my voice echoed from the porch speaker. I translated the WhatsApp messages. "Have a safe flight back to Bogota." The agents placed them both in handcuffs, put them in the back of a federal SUV, and drove away.
The smoke is clearing. When you commit federal immigration fraud, the US government does not mess around. Because of the overwhelming evidence I provided, their case was fast-tracked. Isabella tried to claim I was a controlling abuser who fabricated the messages, but the forensic data from WhatsApp proved the messages were sent from her device. Her 10-year green card was officially revoked. The divorce was granted in my favor with extreme prejudice. She didn't get a dime of my house, my savings, or any alimony. I was completely released from the federal affidavit of support because the contract was entered into under fraudulent terms. Marco, having violated his tourist visa and participated in the fraud, was immediately placed in removal proceedings. They spent a month in an ICE detention center before they were both officially deported. But the best part? Because they were convicted of marriage fraud, they didn't just get sent home. They were hit with a permanent, lifetime ban. They will never, ever be allowed to step foot on United States soil again. Their grand American dream ended in the back of a deportment flight.
It's been almost 3 years since that Friday night. I sold that house. I wanted a fresh start. I bought a place out in the country, got a dog, and focused on my career. I'm doing incredibly well. The betrayal hurt, I won't lie about that. It took a long time to trust anyone again. But I refused to let a scam artist turn me into a bitter man. Last I heard through a mutual acquaintance, Isabella and Marco are back in their home country. The economy there is still struggling, and without my American paycheck funding their lifestyle, they constantly fight. The perfect love they had when they were plotting against me quickly dissolved when they had to face real poverty together. If there is a lesson to be learned here, it's this. Love can make you blind, but the law requires you to keep your eyes open. If you are sponsoring someone and their behavior completely flips the moment the paperwork clears, don't ignore your gut. If someone treats you like a stepping stone, don't just stand there and let them walk all over you. Step aside, pull the paperwork, and watch them fall. Thanks for listening to my story. If you enjoyed this one, drop a like, hit subscribe, and let me know in the comments. What's the craziest scam you've ever encountered? Stay safe and protect your peace.